Hey everybody, welcome to Wednesday with Born Again to Live. And I know everybody's question is, who's there today? And, well, it's with my honor that we say, Amy's back again.
It's me. I'm the special guest today, Eric.
I know how much everyone missed her because I heard from those people. I mean, not really missed her, like replacing the other people, but they were thinking about you. I got messages from many listeners praying for you and thinking about you, and it
has been a time, as we say. We're about a week and a day away from my mom's passing, and as you guys might know, like there were several times in this last 7-8 months where I just had to step away from podcasting and take care of my mom, and I just couldn't make it work. And so it's been a very long road. And, I love how yesterday you and DJ really talked about how that abundant life, how that joy looks even in the struggle. And so we kind of thought, well, we'll do a Welcome Back Wednesday for me, and we'll just talk a little bit about what that looks like in the grieving process. Yeah. I don't know where to begin, quite literally, but the passing did happen quicker than I thought. But my mom had been struggling with a lot of medical issues and pain for a very long time. And so I think what I'm feeling right now is like this overwhelming sense of gratitude. And this is what I plan to share. Spoiler alert. My mom's service on Saturday. I've probably been thinking about my mom's actual service for years. My mom had some close calls. I remember one New Year's, it might have been kind of in the COVID years, but she wasn't doing so good. I'm like, I don't know if mom's going to make it to another Christmas, but then she kind of bounces back. And I had a friend that called her a vampire. She's like, Amy, your mom is a vampire. You can't take her out. But yeah, then the reality of it all kind of finally sets in. You're like, I knew this day was coming, but I didn't think it'd be today, type of a thing. But yeah, I've been thinking about my mom's, her service and just how she would be remembered for years. I would sometimes sit in church knowing this is where my mom's service is going to be. And that sounds weird, but it's just this reality. And it's also this kind of blessed hope. This is why I'm here. Our church has lost a lot of pillars of that church family lately. It's been very hard. I've taken my mom to some of these services. We lost our organist of 30 years. We've lost some church members of 50 years. This church has been through it lately. And but I thought, but it's not a house of death. It's a house of worship. We still come every day to worship, whether it's at a wedding or at a funeral.
Yeah.
And make no mistake, Eric, we're going to make this a funeral.
There you go.
Yes. This is not a sad occasion. Because my mom is with the Lord. 100%. I don't have to doubt it for a second. My mom loved Jesus. Did we talk about the little Jesus way back?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. That is a story I think that my sister, because she experienced that, waking up in the middle of the night. Where's Jesus? Where's Jesus? And my sister's like, oh my gosh, is mom dying? And no, she just wanted to find her little tiny plastic Jesus that DJ had given her. And I think I texted DJ a few days after telling you guys the news. I said, she didn't know you very long, DJ, but man, did she, that little Jesus in you made this just impression on her that just went all the way to the end. So, I'm grateful for stories like that. I'm grateful that you got to meet her and he got to meet her, and people just kind of came out of the woodwork and into my life at this very difficult time. And I think that is the joy in knowing the Lord is even in our worst moments, we can just look back and see God working the whole time, right down to her final days. He orchestrated this whole thing with we finally brought in hospice, Eric, and my mom was in a lot of pain at that point. And if we had kind of done the same old, we would have spent the weekend in the emergency room.
Yeah.
But hospice, They came in a day earlier. They just got it going so that when I think at the point where she would have gotten really bad, that we would have been at the hospital and started this whole kind of pattern all over again with the meds and the feeding tube and the this and that. Instead, she was just able to be at peace, painless, and at home, right? And I'm just like, wow, God, your timing really is perfect, And I was so grateful for that. I'm grateful for the nurse that came in the middle of the night because I was under some, I don't know, I guess I was overly optimistic or I just was naive to what was actually happening. But I thought, we're going to get her in some pain meds and we're going to kind of help her, but she's going to be fine for a while. And then when I realized the decline was happening so quickly, and I'm like, it's because we're giving her too many meds. And this nurse came in, I called her over the phone. She was the on-call nurse, and she's like, do you want me to come over? And I'm like, I don't know. I want you to come if all you're going to do is drug up my mom. Like, maybe not. But I gave it some thought, and I'm like, I'm here all by myself. Like, yeah, let's do that. So she came over, and Eric, she just, she did tell me, she's like, Amy, this is not the medication. Like, this is the infection, and your mom is dying. And I was not ready to hear that, Eric. I was not ready to hear that. And this woman, she was with me from 3 a.m. till 7 a.m. Like, she did not just pop in, tell me, just leave. Like, she answered every question I had, and she helped me to kind of intellectually run through every scenario, because I kept saying, well, what if we had done this? What if we had started this med a week ago? What if we had recognized? Because, by the way, as the world was mourning the passing of Kyle Busch, who died from pneumonia, right? That same time, my mom is getting over the pneumonia. I'm like, what kind of bizarre world is my mom getting better with pneumonia? And this young athletic guy at the peak of his life is dying from it. Like, nothing was kind of making sense at this point. But yeah, my mom just fought off pneumonia. And I thought she's going to fight off whatever this next thing is. But the nurse was like, no, it's the infection and she's dying, Amy. And so that was my darkest hour, was that middle of the night all by myself, realizing my mom only has a few days, if not a few hours. And so I'm so grateful that nurse was there. She answered every question. She didn't make me feel dumb for asking it. She didn't make me, she didn't kind of get mad that I was trying to almost question what she was doing or what they were doing, like she helped me come to this arrival that we had done everything we could do and it was time. And the alternative would have been, again, just all that hospital, all that stuff that I've just been through for 8 months. And, mom's quality of life was just in bits and pieces, right? Like, she was in bed a lot. She was in pain a lot of doctor's appointments. And then every so often she'd have a little bit of good time, and I'm like, 4 days of bad does not equal 1 day of good. And so I was just so grateful for that nurse just giving me this perfect peace that came from, being able to think it all through and understand that. I that's what I needed in that moment, because I knew that death had no sting on the other side of heaven. But this side of heaven, I needed to know that we did everything we could for her. And so that was just something to be grateful for.
Almost like closure. I mean,
yeah.
you got to go through all the what ifs.
Yeah.
And just get closure of, all right, I didn't let mom down. Like, and that really is, realistically, as humans, we have to go through that process of, did I do everything so that mom or whoever isn't mad at me on the other side?
Yeah.
Like, you could have saved me. No, like, you went through that with her and got to the point of, mom's at peace with what I did because it did all like it.
Yep, absolutely.
My other thought was that when you pray for God's will to be done, and that's what ultimately we all prayed for you, is we want the healings, we want the miraculous, we want those really cool things.
Yeah.
But at the end, when you pray that God's will be done, God's will was she didn't need to suffer anymore. She didn't need to be in that pain, and it's hard to settle on that when anybody goes through anything. But I know that's where you're at too. Like, you're good with that peace.
Yeah, I think that is often the hardest prayer to pray, is thy will be done, because, Jesus was going through it in the Garden of Gethsemane. He did not want to go through what he was about to do. And, that's what he said, like, thy will be done, Lord, not mine. Like, take this cup if you're willing. God's like, I'm not willing, son, this is my will. And so, but yeah, just saying my will be done, asking God to, that, just trusting him and letting it play out the way God, needed to. But like, I saw his hand in all of it, the timing of it, the people in her life. And, like, again, the thing that I want to talk about when I remember my mom and her service is I'm like, my mom went out on top from the very end. I think, Eric, about how many, I know we were just talking about this before we rolled the mic, but there's so many people my mom's age. She died at 88. The same number of keys on a piano, by the way.
Nice.
And it was the same age that my grandpa died. But anyway, like, I know a lot of 88-year-olds. I know a lot of 65-year-olds probably that are just lonely and isolated. And they feel, they just feel unloved and irrelevant in this world because it is a cruel, crazy world out there. But my mom she had as much zeal for life as she did with all of her medical, inabilities. And she couldn't even really stand up anymore. She was just going from the bed to her scooter. When she got on that scooter, man, she was like Wonder Woman. She could do anything. But, otherwise she was being cared for a lot like a baby. And that's one of my funnier things with, like, I'll never forget it. She was just like, I feel like a baby. And I'm like, Mom, you're not a baby. And she's like, yes, I am. And she kind of, and I'm like, okay, well, now you're acting like one. But, like, you know me, Eric, I'm tough love. And so, oh my gosh. So I'm grateful for all the time I had with her to the end. I'm grateful for all the conversations. Some were hard. Some were very hard. When in the hospital, she said, I feel like I've turned my back on God because I've just let the pain get in the way. And I'm like, Mom, God's right there. He's right there. He hasn't gone anywhere. You just need to just turn back to him, And I encouraged her to start reading her devotions more. And, so in the midst of just this pain and struggle and loss, I'm so joyful that she, at the age of 88, still just had so much to look forward to every day. And, one of the other things she said in the hospital a while back is she just said, I have so many people to love. And, I do. There's a lot of people I know, much younger, much healthier, that they don't feel like they have much to live for, that they don't have anyone to love or to love them back. And that wasn't the case with my mom, so I couldn't be more grateful.
You said you're glad I met her. I said that's one thing. I'm grateful that I met her because a lot of people that you interact with and you have friendships with, you don't know their mother. You don't know their family.
Yeah.
And I got to meet her, and I'll never forget the first time we went to Carol's house. You're like, can you come down here? And I was blown away by this place. I'm like, holy cow, what in the world is this? And I get in there, and she was actually in the hospital, and we were just meeting at her house.
Yeah.
But we went down to get lunch at the cafeteria, and I think you ran into 2 or 3 people who, how's your mom? And they lit up when they talked about her, and I'm like, that's all you need to know about this lady.
Yeah.
And I finally met her, I'm like, okay, I get it. Like, you could tell she had that spark of just genuine whatever that is that God puts in you, because I could just see it. And I was like, yep, that's the fruit right there.
Yeah, there was that joy. She had a joy for life, for her friends, for game playing, and everyone just could feel like, whenever they were around Mom, they just knew, like, she's a joy bomb kind of thing. And so I'm that's another thing I'm super thankful for, is where she got to live. She was always safe. She was always happy. She was always surrounded by friends, like, I'm like, the blessings are almost too many to count in a time like this, which I know that might sound strange to people, but I'm like, when you just let God do what only God can do, you get to see the blessing in everywhere you look, like everywhere you look. So.
I know we've talked on this show about the buffet lifestyle and how we never retire, but I pretty much set my mind, if I'm going to retire somewhere, I want to go where you're at. That place.
That's so funny. Meryl, I love that place, and I have said this to many people, but the day that we have to move out of her apartment, we're going to have it for a while as we get rid of things. But when that day comes, I think that's where a lot of the mourning is going to start. A lot of the grieving is going to start for me, because all of a sudden I don't have that place I was there for so much of the last 10 years. And so that's going to be super hard. But I'm going to let's throw a scripture in.
All right. Yep.
We got a little bit of time?
Yeah, we got plenty of time.
All right. So this is in John 14, and my subtitle says, Jesus comforts his disciples. So like, I kind of like to think that's includes me.
Yeah.
But I know this was a conversation that he had with them at the Last Supper, and he'd already told them he was going to be betrayed, and I'm going somewhere that you can't follow. And so, that they're getting a little bit worked up, and he's comforting in this moment. And he says, do not let your hearts be troubled. You believe in God, believe also in me. My Father's house has many rooms. If it were not so, would I have told you that I am going there to prepare a place for you? And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come back and take you to be with me, that you also may be where I am. You know the way to the place where I am going. And so what I love about this scripture, Eric, is, yes, he says, in my Father's house there are many rooms, and I'm going there to prepare a place for you. And in some instances it says, in my Father's house there are many dwelling places. But like, what I love about it, it doesn't necessarily say I get one of those rooms or mom gets one of those rooms, but she has a place there. And I personally, Eric, want to believe it's a garden. Like, I don't need 4 walls and a ceiling. Like, if I'm in paradise and nothing can harm me and there's no pain and there's no sorrow and there's no suffering, like, I just want to be in a garden. And I think my mom feels the same way, so I can imagine God's massive, beautiful house full of his family and his loved ones. And my mom kind of has her own little garden there with it. So that's why I can't be sad at a time like this. Yes, I will miss her, but she's in no pain. She's in no more suffering. She's got her legs are back and she's probably dancing. And, I don't know if she ever was much of a runner, but maybe she'll play a few rounds of golf with my dad now or something. But she's just living her absolute best life, and she's with the Father. And that's, that is why we feel like such aliens in this world. We're not where we're supposed to be. And she is just fully and completely whole now. And I don't know. There's no reason for grief. It's, death has lost its sting.
Well, I say it all the time. I think about my service for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell my son all the time, like, seriously, you better not be sad, because
Yeah.
you know where I'm going. You know that I'm with the Father. It's like, don't be sad. You throw a party.
Yeah.
And we joke, like Kipton will joke. He says, so if anybody's crying at your funeral, I get to slap him. I'm like, yeah, there you go.
That's
like,
it.
Nobody should be sad that Eric's went to see where he needed to be. And I go to services. I've went to a couple services where the destination's unknown.
Yeah.
And they're different than services where you know where they're at. And I was privileged enough to speak at my granddad and my grandma's funeral, both of them. 5-6 years apart, but
Okay.
still married for all those years, loved God, never missed church. Like, they were always in church, and they were always that you could just see the fruit. Like, you knew where they were going.
Yeah.
There was tears and there was sadness that they're not there and you're not going to get to see them, but man, you could just, it's like, oh, I'm going to get it. I want to be there. I want to see them. I can't wait to see them in all their glory, and
Mm-hmm.
it's going to be amazing. And then you go to the services where you don't know, and it's like, all it is sadness.
Yeah.
And I don't want that. Like, I know where I'm going, so don't make that about what it's like. Like,
Yeah.
understand.
There's sadness. There's regret. It's awful. Yeah. It's awful. So I guess I just want to wrap up, Eric, by saying to all the listeners and everybody out there, thank you so much for your prayers, just for coming alongside me and getting me through this time. It's been a while, but I appreciate everyone that reached out to me and said they're praying for me. I appreciate my Big Blue family. And, my mom loved this Big Blue family. She supports the mission trip. She regularly donates. She loves Big Blue. And, so, that the best way I can honor her is just to keep on keeping, Eric.
I think about that one of the last things she did was to help us meet our goal with the mission trip.
That's
and
it.
I remember getting that message from you that your mom was going to help with the mission trip, and it blew my mind that, like, she's going through so much that she's giving.
Yeah.
She's loving. She's caring. And I was like, that'll stick with me for the rest of my life, that I'm going on this trip because of that lady. I went to Niagara Falls because of that lady. Like, the same lady gave all that time, and she never hesitated to do that for us. So yeah, that tells you a lot about who she was, that she gave when she was in pain.
Well, I mean, I think that was at that point, Eric, the only thing she could do to help Big Blue. And, so she did. And she's so grateful for the gift of Big Blue in my life, for sure.
All right, guys, we'll be back tomorrow with Parable Thursday.
I can't wait.